We're going to see what kind of chaos ensues. Kyle, what's going on, man?
Ooh, lots actually. I got a cold.
You guys are growing. We're growing. We're growing insanely. We now have more than twice as many people as when I joined like a year and a half ago. So it's insane to see what alternative payments is doing. But I promise that's not what this is about. This is just me and Kyle catching up. Um, So for those of you that don't know, I'm Steve Taylor. I do webinars for alternative payments. My goal is to make like really awesome, valuable webinars that teach you guys something, whether you buy anything from either of us or not. Okay, so that's my goal for today. I am a former MSP owner myself. I ran one for over 10 years. I've been an IT professional in one way or another for over 20 years. So that is me in a nutshell. Kyle, why should we listen to what you have to say?
You shouldn't. Yeah, I mean,
Oh
you should have
no.
blatant disregard. You should have blatant disregard for any type of authority figure in this channel because the one thing I learned early in 2015, 2016 is the way to grow your business is a little conflated in this channel. It's a little too echo chambery. It's a little too prescribed. And the one thing at my MSP that we did really well, and there's some other factoids we can get into, was we were growing faster than most MSPs in the channel, and we were doing everything differently. And the one thing on why I comment that way, Steve, is it was a lot of like, you should feel bad that your MSP is growing so fastly the way that you're doing it, because you're not doing
Mhm.
it the way that we have told you that you should do it. And that zeitgeist kind of started to tick me off a little bit because I was like, well, we just grew by $7 million top line revenue in less than 18 months. So I don't understand why that's bad, because we have a bunch of employees that are thriving. We have a bunch of energy. Everyone's
Yeah.
excited. And you're just mad at this one number. You're just mad at this one go to market tactic, because the one thing that also devalues me in this conversation is I'm not technical, Steve. I wasn't the MSP CEO that knew how to fix a computer. That just wasn't
Mm.
me. I just happened to have always worked in IT, which I guess doesn't make too much sense.
I mean, you worked in IT. Doesn't that mean you literally know everything? I mean, you can Google a problem. You literally can do what we do, right?
Oh, completely. And if there's one thing that AI and Empath is starting to collect data on, this is AI is making hard skills a little irrelevant, a
Yeah.
little like the old school. I'll never forget. I had one interview where I hired a tier one engineer because on his resume he put expert at Google Foo, Google dash FU,
Love
and
it.
this was 2012, 2013, and I remember laughing at it because I'm literally going, the guy's saying he's resourceful. He's willing to look up the answer. Like, there is such
Yeah.
value in that statement. And you fast forward to today where literally AI will write the PowerShell script for you, which I would have normally needed a super expensive person to do that task. That's now being done for you. So
Hmm.
where I'm going in this entire thing is, and my prediction is, as the MSP channel evolves, you're going to see a segregation between tier one and tier three, to use those frameworks, where tier one really will be hyper focused in customer service, the soft skills, the pleasantries, the person at the front of the hotel that greets you when you walk in the door and does everything that you need. But the segregation will be that tier three will be that embodiment of, we've built this automation and we've built this AI, but someone needs to architect and repair it. Going back to Henry Ford, what we can think about is when the assembly line happened, everyone did what everyone does of, oh my God, jobs are going to be lost. Oh my God, like it turns into this mayhem. But what did it give birth to? Manufacturing equipment architects, manufacturing equipment repair people, manufacturing equipment educators, right? Like,
Hmm.
other industries start to thrive when innovation happens, which requires its own layers of employment. So I've lost track on why I've gone down this tirade and completely tangented here, but um, Yeah, technical skills really are going to become more about the people to people interface, that last mile.
Last mile. I always I always hated that phrase. I'll be honest. I'm going to go on a little tangent of my own. The last mile is, what we would call, like, the last portion of the internet, right? That's going from the ISP to the office or to the house.
What
That's the last
about the
mile, right?
NSA?
Hmm?
And what about the NSA? I thought they were the last mile.
I thought they were the green mile. I'm getting them all confused. No, the NSA, they just have that little thing they clamp onto the wire, like in the movies, and
Oh,
then they just listen
okay.
and read everything you're
It's
doing.
that span port that you put on the back of the switch that copies over all the
Exactly.
packets. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. They just, control A, control C, control V. Um, so I mean, that's what I always think of when someone says the last mile. I always just start thinking about the internet. However, to be fair, when somebody says, okay, the next thing that comes in my head is, so they played the first thing that came to their heads, just Tenacious D.
A little Tenacious D. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, hey, we're gonna kick it off. It's been enough
Have
time.
we not kicked it off? By the way, people in chat, say hi, raise your hand, talk. Like, this is collaborative. I don't want to
It
just
is.
hear Taylor or Steve and I's voice. Like,
I mean, that's all you're gonna
challenge.
hear is our voices because all you guys can do is chat. But if you
Boo,
chat, we'll
revolt.
we'll chat back. Good morning.
Revolt.
Hey, Scott. Uh, so let us know, like,
Britonia! Holy shit. My favorite person.
oh boy. So hey, if we're talking about a topic and you want to dig in more, if you have a question, like if you want me to go a certain direction, just put it in chat, guys. All right, that's what we're here for. All right. So hey, the first thing I want to say is we're here to talk about a growth system for MSPs, right? Every MSP says they want to grow. I wanted to grow. Your MSP wanted to grow, right? So how do we grow? We just go sell more. That's the only thing we need to do.
Well, yeah, and we don't even need to know what growth means. And that was the conversation I had with myself back in 2015 when I got hired as CEO of Fit Solutions. They're like a $3-4 million MSP at the time in San Diego, and I kind of had this like I said, "Oh yeah, sure, like yeah, I'll help you guys grow." And I started to recognize that I didn't actually know what that meant. Like if I really, as an operational, as a finance guy, like I started to go, okay, well, what does he mean by growth, the owner of the MSP? And like what does that actually constitute? So I'm not proud of this, but I'll admit it. I literally remember typing into Google, what is growth?
There you go.
Parentheses, finance. Because like I was like going,
Oh,
what was the actual definition from someone that didn't get an MBA in business? Like what tell me basically what this is. What does this mean? Because when you hear that, Steve, in the MSP channel, I find so often that everyone has this comparison, that there's not this alignment on what words we're using to compare ourselves. And some of them would be talking about growth on the bottom line. Some talks would be talking about growth and how they operate their business. Some would be talking about, I want to grow the business by having more employees. And they would go to these conferences and saying, I'm a growth oriented MSP. And then you'd be like, great, how much did you grow last year? And they would say, oh, 3 points. And you go, well, 3 points of what?
I
And you could
mean,
tell they'd
I
paused and it
got
was just like
three
a
points.
scripted 3 points. And it was like, okay, like I need to unpack this. So when I refer to growth, I think of it in the sense, just to set definitions when I use this word today. I think about how your business is continuously adding top line revenue year over year. That is what I refer to it as. So if I am
Okay.
$5 million today and I finish $6 million by the end of the year, I had $1 million in top line revenue growth. Now, there's gross, there's net, there's ways that we can complicate this and make this super nerdy, but I'm not going to do that today. Because there's these other mechanisms in the channel that we use to define other types of growth. One of those being EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, amortization, debt, all that good stuff. EBITDA is a way to talk about revenue efficiency, aka profitability. So when I think about that, Steve, why I use those in conjunction is because the MSP channel, for the most part, has been beaten over the head with this EBITDA phrase way too much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, private equity. But on the other side of the fence, no one talks about organic growth or top line growth as much. And it was interesting. Here, I'm going to stop right there because I literally won't shut up for the next 30 minutes.
No, man, you're good. I like when people go on their soapbox and just make it happen, man. So,
Yeah.
all right. So we talked about like what growth is, and I want to talk about if MSPs want to grow, there's a healthy way to do it, and then there's every other way to do it, right?
Well,
So,
and then there's the unhealthy way to do it, which I was a little bit guilty of, but
well,
story
and
for
that's what I
another
mean
day.
by every other. It's either healthy or it's not, right?
Or
So
I think there's a third path, or it's just not happening, or it's accidental.
accidental. So if it's not happening, then it's not growth, in my opinion. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like so what I mean is if you have growth, it's either healthy or it's not. If it's accidental, I think that's just as bad as unhealthy because you don't know what's causing it and you don't know what's coming next. So you're completely unprepared, which is still unhealthy in my opinion. I'm looking at this. I try to look at things very black and white. And I know that the world is full of shades of gray, at least 50 of them. And I don't care. I like to it's either a one or a zero, man. So it's either healthy or it's not. So could it be accidental? Yes. Could there just be no growth? Yes. Could it be ungrowth? Could it be a loss? Yes. Um, all of those I consider just as bad as doing it wrong to begin with. Um,
Yep. Yep.
so
Well,
rather,
and there's another. I think there's a prerequisite to all of this, and I think before we go down that track, the one thing I want to say is there an understanding or is there an expectation of growth? Because so often why I use the phrase accidental and where maybe I disagree with you a tad is if I do not go into a business going, I want to grow by this much, and my entire team knows how to operationalize around it, a lot of it is going to be accidental because you have the hopium, you have the desire, but not either the tools or grit to make it happen, or the creating the risk boundaries. So in all of this, it's great to say, yeah, I want to, because let's be real, we're all for profit IT. There has to be a drive to it. And that's what I sometimes see missing in this channel is the drive. I'll be quite honest, most of the time I've coached hundreds of MSPs at this point. I know that's a throwaway phrase, but I literally have. I can show you the receipts where the ones that just weren't successful were the ones where they were kind of eh. You would be like, hey, man, here's your target. Here's the budget. Here's the numbers you're going to reach towards. Here's the number of deals that you need to make. And it was kind of that, okay, well, that's cool if it happens. And then the owners where they were like, oh my God, screw that. I'm going to blow that out of the water. And every morning they wake up at 6 a.m. looking at that report going, am I going to hit that? Those were the ones that truly wanted it. It wasn't this social prescribed, you must grow sense of social uh, inadequacy that I felt like I had to say that phrase. They actually lived it. And I could start, and honestly, you can learn to spot this. The ones that grow typically are the ones that aren't participating too much into channel debate or channel banter because they're too busy growing their business.
So let me get this straight. The guys that are all hanging out on Reddit and in Discord, I'm not going to finish that.
No, there is a little bit of that cynicism. The ones that are giving advice are the ones that probably should be taking the advice they're giving. Um, but going back to why I said you shouldn't listen to me, the one thing that we were always concentrating on is what does it take to get from A to B? And A was really well understood because you can measure that. And
Mhm.
B was really well understood because I had it on a whiteboard in my office. Every employee knew what that number was and everyone knew what it took to get there. And it was a top down approach to how we operated the business because everything else was irrelevant. You couldn't come to me and talk about SLAs or timesheet compliance unless you could draw a direct line between how that initiative led to growth mechanics. And for those of you that use business frameworks like EOS, Scaling Up, Pinnacle, 10 to 10x, any of these things, those become very difficult to operate or even to adhere to without some destination, like some far off direction that I want to go. And what I would find, just as a little quick tangent, is they would have these rocks or OKRs or business plans, and they'd be building all of these decisions and these projects and these investments without any logic to how does that affect where we're going. It was, we're going to go ahead and revamp our help desk process. Okay. Do you have a profitability problem? No. Okay. Do you have a top line growth revenue problem? Yes. Are you spending enough in sales and marketing? What is enough? Okay. So you're fixing one thing because it sounds good, but you're not fixing the actual thing that is going to get you from A to B. So that's why I say really starting off with understanding where you want to go is the key component to growth because everything else gets answered from there on should you spend your time on it.
All right. All right. So it sounds like what you're saying isn't ADD a great thing? We're going to go on so many tangents today, guys. I hope you're all ready to go on a wild ride. Um, so it sounds like what you're saying, Kyle, golly, is we need to have a process to grow. You
Well,
can't
before you
you
even
can't
get to
just wake up.
process,
You can't just wake up
well,
and say, I'm going to grow.
I think before it's a process, it's honestly, it's a desire. It's I
Okay.
actually need to want to do this. You as the owner, now you as the employee should also have that drive and that buy-in and that weight. But if the owner doesn't have a passion and a want to do it, that is going to trickle downhill so fast because there's going to be no accountability to it. There's going to be no um, crazy or a little bit of wild antics in trying to achieve it, and distractions and shiny objects become so desirable because you don't want to do the thing you wanted to do anyway. So any distraction is actually now in your favor. But yes, after that comes a process that becomes a model. It becomes a definition of success, which is missing in a lot of cases when you have process.
Hmm.
Um, and it also kind of it starts to hamper mentorship and leadership. I can't mentor or lead somebody if I don't know where we're going, right? Like, let's just think of the word. There's that famous Eisenhower quote where to lead, you have to pull the string because if you try to push the string, it's just going to all bunch up. So, how do I lead somebody if I don't even know where I'm going? How do I tell them that what they're doing is either relatively good or bad?
Hmm. So we're gonna dig into this fort. What do you call it? A model, a framework? It's
Sure.
we're going to eventually, right?
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to kind of like set the stage, if you will. So when when you ask a business owner who says they want to grow, you usually ask them like to figure out if they actually know what that means, right? And we've defined what does growth mean. And if the owner that you're talking to, coaching, whatever, answers that question wrong, does that kind of give you a hint as to where their business might be stuck, or where because you've got that model, right? So you might have broken that down into like four different sections. So maybe, if you asked me, how do you define growth, Steve, and I gave you an answer, is that answer going to like subconsciously tell you where I'm stuck in my business? Does that make sense?
Kind of like just a quick assessment, a quick, scanning of what's out there to kind of prescribe what's next. Yeah, there's a little
Al-
bit of it.
Almost like psychoanalyzing people. I mean, look at your background, right?
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I was supposed to go get a PhD in behavioral psychology before I decided to get into the MSP world. Weird turn of events that was.
Yeah.
Um, but to your question, yes, there is a world of when you ask that question, it depends on context because it could just be at a bar having a conversation and they say growth and I go, cool, well, what does that mean? But I guess it's really in the conversation. It's again back to the passion, back to the drive. Because if it's someone that's like, I want to grow and I have an absence of knowledge, like if they not, and I don't mean that verbatim, but like if there is that, I want to learn everything I can because I am trying to figure out what to do next. Because if I don't get here, I am not happy. Like I need to figure out that direction. If there is that passion in the I don't know, Steve, then I go, cool, this is someone that literally is like trying to make this happen, because I was in that boat as well. So I'd be a hypocrite by saying that they're a lost cause or anything in that stretch. But if it's one of those things where it's, yeah, it would be nice to grow, but things happen and we gotta get operationally mature and we gotta fix little couple things here and there, or my service team's gonna be upset that we brought on a couple new customers. Well, now it turns into, okay, do you really want this? Like, are you really willing to make difficult decisions? Because anytime you try to adjust your framework, your business plan, your North Star, you're going to shake the tree and have some apples fall out. And that can be scary. That can be really unsettling. And it's not the fear, the unsettlingness that's the problem. It's, are you willing as the owner to have those repercussions? Or is that something that you just recognize as okay? So
Hmm.
changing the conversation, because we're getting extremely proverbial, so I want to get tactical. You're going to have to recognize that at some point your business is going to have to operationalize around some core tenets. And those core tenets won't change depending on what your goal is, because like when we got over 50 employees, 70 employees, 100 employees, what was really eye-opening to me is that I became the largest bottleneck in the business as every single step of the way. And it was, how fast can I delegate decision making? How fast can I delegate risk? How fast can I delegate bad decisions
Mm.
so that my team can start to mature with me? Because you're not always going to know the answer. You're not always going to have the solution. And there's a fantastic thought experiment that Colin Powell used to always talk about, the 40-70 rule. And essentially, what it was is a spectrum of, if I need to make a decision, I need to understand somewhere between 40% and 70% of the information in order to achieve an outcome. And if I understand 40% of the information, I'm always going to hit the deadline, but I may just not get the results that I perfectly want. However, if I wait till 70% of the information, I'm going to be more accurate, but I'm probably going to miss the deadline because I waited too long. So you want to always find that balance of what's enough information and what's enough risk that I'm willing to take to lose something. And
Wow,
also,
I've never heard that before. And I'll be honest, you just blew my mind.
he dropped it. You know what's funny is like you see it in all of these articles, but I think he only mentioned it like once in passing in a casual conversation. And it's the same thing with me. When I heard it, I'm like, oh my God, that's perfect. Because if you look at these MSPs that are hyperscalers, that true, like my buddy Sean Torres, his MSP was 8 million when I started coaching him, and now he's 50 something million. And that was only like in 4 to 5 years. If you look at the tenacity that that MSP has, it's all about quick decision making, quick failure, and then moving on. It's I'm going to test this assumption rather than beating around the bush or asking too many questions or doing too much discovery.
Hmm.
Because sometimes speed is your competitive advantage. But it's unsettling because people are going to make
Yeah.
mistakes.
So I popped it into the chat, but I don't know that anyone's paying attention to the chat. Earlier you said, sometimes you might ask and you might get the wrong answer, but at least there's some passion in that answer, right? So do you guys want to get dark for a minute? Just a minute.
Ooh. Ooh, okay.
What if it's not passion, it's desperation?
So color in that a little bit. Desperation in the sense of I need to grow because I'm about to lose my business, or I'm negative profitable,
Yeah,
or
but something along those lines, like growth because not passion. They're not passionate about building an awesome, successful business. They need growth and they're desperate for growth, or else there's going to be some type of consequence that they want to avoid, whatever that consequence is.
you know what? I don't think that's dark. I think that's beautiful.
Hmm.
When you have an external factor that forces you to do something, there is nothing better because now, and this gets into fight or flight response a little bit. This gets into your cortisol levels, the things that make you go, oh shit, I'm gonna die, or oh shit, a lion's gonna eat me. I better run or I better fight. Because now there's external forces saying you don't have an option. And why to me that's beautiful, Steve, is now you don't have to resort to the other thing, the much harder thing, which is self-discipline, being able to manage your own ability to do things that suck. My personal mantra is dare to suck. I've spent my entire career trying to find ways to just do the thing, just get it done. Don't worry about perfection. Don't worry about anything. Defeat the blank page and try something.
Hmm.
But when you have to, food on the table, shelter, feed your kids' livelihoods, now that is going to be a hyper focus moment for me. And if you look at a lot of really good thought leaders on this topic, a lot of them will tell you that you can get disciplined to a certain extent, but if you can find a way to manufacture the world around you so that you have to do it, that's even better. So, like, could you put yourself in an uncomfortable situation to where it's all or nothing? It's the Julius Caesar moment where he said, "Hey, when we get on shore, we're going to burn the boats. There
Ooh,
is no going back."
I forgot about that. Burn the ships, man. Yeah, now we're talking.
Hell, the theme for this year for Empath is burn the boats. Literally, we have built into our entire business a year of, hey, we're going to either survive or we're going to be the most spectacular failure anyone's ever seen. So that's why that's beautiful to me. Now, it's uncomfortable, and in the moment, it's horrible.
Hmm.
But pressure builds diamonds, a lot of fun sayings like that. That is someone that is now willing to listen. Humility comes so much quicker when there is a have to.
I like that.
Now, that's also where snake oil sales and all that bullshit comes up real quick, because now you're vulnerable. And when you're vulnerable, you might make some stupid decisions that just make you fail. Go see my LinkedIn inbox. There's thousands of messages that are preying on that vulnerability. But that's how it works sometimes.
Yeah. So let's talk about the four different the four different. I love that. We were going to talk about Fort, and we haven't even gotten there. We're halfway through.
So yeah,
Burn,
let me peel this back.
burn the boats. Let's go to
Burn the
that.
boats.
Let's go to that. Yeah.
So when I had the stupidest moment of my career having to type into Google, what is growth? The thing that I quickly realized was a lot of it was centered around revenue. Now, go to Reddit, go to MSP Geek. Everyone tells you revenue's the devil and all that fun stuff. So go ahead, call me that. I don't care right now. But what I started to do was seek knowledge at that point. A lot of it was, okay, well, what is revenue growth as an operational structure, as a functional level of accountability? And I'm going to whiteboard for you, Steve, because I think this is better being drawn, because some people like to see some visual elements. So what happened was, you can see it. Yeah, we're good. Is okay. A mentor came to me and said, Kyle, your business is extremely simple because all you're doing is selling services. And the services that you do requires literally 3 things. That's it. Don't make your business any more complicated. You need to find work. You need to do work. And you need to get paid. That's it. Your business is 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, that is simple. So I just need someone to manage finding work, doing work, and getting paid. And the way that he showed this to me was, let me go ahead and move this over, was, okay, and if you take this kind of into a funnel of sorts, it kind of does the guesswork for you, because money's down here, money's up here, and a lot of your costs come here. And it kind of just all trickles down. And I know that's a horrible funnel, but I think you're kind of following along here of kind of the mechanisms that operate a lot of us as services businesses, right? Things just kind of flow through to the bottom. Okay. That's simple enough. And the one thing that, of course, a lot of us MSPs do is we obsess about the funnel itself. What is this thing that is working to find us work, do work, and get paid? What the word I didn't have when I asked this question and I had this conversation was, what is the product? The funnel is the product itself. And like a lot of us, I got super obsessed with business frameworks, EOS, scaling up. I even got certified in a couple of them. And what came to be to me was they were saying the same thing. And ultimately, and let me make this a little bit simpler, was I needed a find work department. I needed a do work department. And I needed to have a department all about getting paid. And there's iterations of this. EOS has a very simple one that's very similar to this. Scaling up has functional accountability, which just kind of draws OKRs and KPIs to this. And really now what happens is, if I think of these as business units, right, now I have a system to where you've got me as this like zookeeper. You got
sales, service, and accounting. You got it all right there.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It was that simple. And obviously there's a lot of things that kind of fell into this. And there was a lot of things that started to make me ask more questions because, like, who's good enough to manage all the finding work and the doing work? But then there was the stuff in the middle. Now, in most small MSPs, this is sufficient. Like, this will get 80% of the work done. Where I found in my MSP and many MSPs after was there were some things that were kind of in the middle. Things like the product itself. Does the service department create the product that they service?
Hmm.
Well, they can. But you know what service people are really good at, Steve?
Over engineering things?
Yeah, making a product that no one wants to buy. And then what happens? Your sales department gets mad at your service department because they overpriced something, over-engineered something, right? That they have made it to where sales cannot succeed because now really what you're saying is rather than your sales department reporting here, your sales department's reporting here.
Hmm.
That's not fair. Because if I go back to my funnel, they're the only way that we truly succeed in this growth mechanic.
Yeah. It starts with them. So
It,
does
it,
that mean the salespeople are creating the product or developing the dream?
well, play that forward. If my sales team is building the product, what are they
Uh-huh.
going to do?
Not sell?
Well, no, they'll sell the shit out of it.
They'll sell the shit out of something that doesn't exist and they'll overpromise and underdeliver.
They'll overpromise it. They won't put the right testing into it. It's not scalable. It's maybe not a product that's multi-tenant. The
If,
pricing doesn't allow for margins that get you paid. So now your finance department suffers because they're sitting there
yeah,
going, how do I balance the books with something that you sold with 3% margin?
yeah. Well, obviously we don't want to let the accountants do it because I don't know
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah, I mean, play that forward. If your finance team is building it, uh, they are going
At
to,
least we'll know it's completely profitable before it
yeah.
even gets sold.
Or honestly, they'll overanalyze because they have the least
Yeah.
amount of knowledge of the market itself
Uh-huh.
or the ability to deliver to the market. So they're going to have to
Right.
bring in consultants or opinions, or they're going to drown the two departments that are just trying to do their jobs.
Or they're going to remove necessary services because they're finance, they're not technical, and they're going to say, "Well, I mean, we made an extra 3% margin this month because we got rid of the MDR on all of our endpoints we're managing."
Yeah. Or they're not going to make investments because they're focused on the bottom line.
Right. So, all right.
So
So the zookeeper has to do it then. That's his
So the
job.
zookeeper has to do it, which is good. And this is why I say this scales for quite a while. If there's one thing that MSP owners are fantastic at, it's loving the product they sell. They love the vendors. They love going to trade shows. They love negotiating pricing to an extent. Honestly, they love it so much that they have a profitable product that easily does everything the customer wants. And what do they go do? They change
Buy
the
more shit.
EDR, they change the RMM, they go buy something that's not even supposed to be included in the pricing model. And now everyone asks, why did all of a sudden our MSP contract go from always 60% profitable to 30% profitable? And it turns out that none of the employees knew how to use it. You didn't have enough scale to get it at aggressive pricing. And it only did about an eighth of what the other product did. But it was best in class, or someone on Reddit said it was the best.
It was prettier. That's why I buy things.
Yeah. I mean, how many people told me ConnectWise was an ugly piece of junk and no one should use it? And I'm sitting there going, okay, but is it a problem? Probably not.
I mean, I have to look at it all day.
So to kind of continue this is where some evolution happened. And Tony, we'll
What
talk
if
about
you
that.
have,
That was the
I love this,
entire conversation at the beginning. This is why
I
I love
love
this
this
one.
question. What if you have the wrong person in the zookeeper role? They're more interested in killing the animals instead of feeding and training the animals. That is incredible.
Oh, do we want to answer that right now?
Oh,
Um,
I think that's worth answering right now.
I don't know if there is an answer. And Steve, come back on stage because we'll stop whiteboarding here for a second.
All right.
And this is one of those questions, Antonio, where I don't think you can prescribe something that's going to work in all cases. And there is an element of, Steve, I think probably your desperation thing of they're just trying to make things work and they don't know how to, so they act irrationally rather than seeking humility and answers and alternate means. But on the other side of the fence, there could just be blind arrogance. There could just be the, I don't care if we grow or not. My MSP is a lifestyle business worth $3 million in top line revenue and 10% on the bottom line. And my extra $400K a year that goes in my pocket is sufficient to make me happy.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that person or that person's mindset, as long as they are clear about what they want going into it, and they need to make sure they're able to maintain that, right? So they might not need to grow, but they need to make sure they don't shrink.
So it's survival in a different perspective. It's not I need to grow, it's I need to desperately grasp onto this thing I have that cannot change.
Right. Or maybe like, okay, we know it's going to change. Like maybe there's a way for them to have a crazy honest relationship with their clients. And I don't know if this is even possible. Hey, can you just like let me know if you're thinking about leaving in a year? That's cool if you do. I just want to like make sure I go get a client to replace you because I'm not trying to grow. I'm just trying to maintain.
Which
like
isn't
who's
bad.
crazy enough to say that to their clients?
Until a very critical moment. And I've seen this where it goes from security, we can't change anything, to desperation in a snap of the finger. Nothing can change. I'm not reinvesting in my business. I'm siphoning, how did Antonio say it? Killing the animals instead of feeding them and training them. Because that comes off out of my paycheck. It's all important, though, until their top 2 clients fire them because they thought that they would never leave. And then the alarm bells go off.
Or even worse yet, man, I had a client die. Like, I actually had 2 clients where the owners died. So the 3. Oh my gosh, 3. I think it might be.
I don't want to be your client.
I might be the problem. Like I sit here and I go, oh my gosh. And I just realized there's a 4th now too. All right. So I'm going to turn that into a fun story for you guys, because I think it's worth a conversation. But first, Kyle, why don't you, I would love if you went first, sir. Can you give us a little taste? What on earth is Empath doing? We're gonna talk about Empath. We're gonna talk
a little
about
commercial in the middle.
We're gonna do. I'm gonna call it the sponsored segment. Okay. We'll do some commercials, and it'll take like 5 minutes tops, maybe 6, and then we'll get right back into the content for the last like 10 minutes.
Can I get some background music?
I don't have a button for that. Oh my goodness. We're going to get demonetized. Oh wait, we're not monetized. Oh, good thing.
So now a word from our sponsors. Hi guys, Kyle from Empath here. You ever struggle getting your team to do what they should do? Do you ever find yourself saying things like, why won't they listen to me? And can you please just submit your timesheets? And man, if I could just have someone that was as good as me. Well, you now have Empath. Take 2 a day and your problems go away.
Wow. Take 2 empaths?
Take 2 Empath. Buy 2.
All right.
Join the herd.
I will join the herd. So what does it look like to join the herd, Kyle? How's that work?
So let me, I guess I'll be serious for a second. Aww. So in my MSP, the one thing that I recognize, especially in my time at corporate, was that when you are in a growth mode, the first thing that happens is you get your first successful quarter where, oh my God, the sales team is working and we have 5 customers to onboard next month. Oh, we're
No, you're
sharing
good.
some
You're good.
um, 5 new customers onboarding. Well, when the customers onboard, what happens? Your service team goes, oh my God, we don't want them to onboard. We don't have enough people. And now growth is bad. So, what I recognized and the problem we wanted to solve was how do we get good people with good attitudes, with good grit that we can get from zero to accountable in as little time as possible? And we spent a lot of money building this because we were a growth oriented MSP. So, what we had to design was career pathways, role pathways, things that allowed a new employee to know what they need to do so that they could be accountable in as little time as possible. And this was also the same for promotions. If I go from tier 1 to tier 2, I got to get ready. I got to be ready to go. So what Empath allows you to do is build, and we have a lot of templates, a lot of pre-made courses, but to bring in your SOPs, to bring in your personal processes, to bring in content from many different sources so that your employees now have a roadmap of zero to accountable in the time frame that is appropriate for you. So that now when you do have those new customers or you do have to have that unfortunate situation where you get rid of that one tier 3 person that's a pain in everyone's butt, you have the next person ready to go and you're not wasting those precious labor dollars. We are the workforce operating system for MSPs.
Love it. Love it. All right. If you guys are interested in learning more about what Kyle and Empath can do for you, I am popping up a poll. It's literally one question, multiple choice. I would say there are no wrong answers, but there is one wrong answer.
I mean, the wrong answer is, yeah, not
That's
today
the
because
wrong
my
one.
employee aren't, when your employees aren't important, it goes a long way. Well,
Oh
either not
boy.
important or we don't have time to make them better. It's someone said this thing the other day of like, Kyle, if I train people, they'll go to another company and they'll
Yeah.
be better in their career. And you go, cool. So if you don't train them, they're going to stay.
That's so true. Well, guys, everything Kyle has been walking us through comes down to one thing. It's building a business where specific people own specific outcomes. So growth doesn't have to flow through you, right? I mean, we're gonna have the zookeeper. He still has to do some things as the zookeeper, right? But you're still gonna have the people who manage all the animals. And one of the most overlooked outcomes in any MSP is the one that Kyle calls get paid. That's exactly where alternative payments fits in. Um, so, alternative payments is a payment automation platform. It's built specifically for MSPs. The logos on the screen are some of the MSPs we work with. There are companies that decided they were done running accounts receivable manually and they wanted their finance function to actually run itself. Which, if you've been listening to Kyle, it's exactly the kind of outcome ownership that I think he has been talking about. And end run, right? So, one of the first things our customers notice is what their clients experience. Every one of your end clients gets a branded portal where they can log in, see their invoices, pay by ACH or credit card, set up auto pay, and manage everything from one place. There's no more chasing, no more back and forth emails. Your clients get a clean, professional experience. You get paid, hopefully, without touching it. Um, Next, the reason none of this requires manual effort is all the integrations. Alternative payments connects with your PSA, whether that's ConnectWise, Halo, Autotask. It connects with QuickBooks and Xero on the accounting side and a ton of others. When an invoice gets created in your PSA, we sync it over to alternative payments. We notify the client. We run auto pay if that got set up for that client. The invoice gets marked paid in your PSA and in accounting. We create the deposit in your accounting software. We handle all the fees if you did not waive any, or if you covered the credit card fees, if the client paid with a credit card and you didn't pass those on to the client, we'll put all those into the deposit. Everything matches when that bank feed gets downloaded. That makes uh, reconciliation so much easier, and that's what it looks like when your finance function actually has like an owner managing all of that for you. MSPs using alternative payments typically cut around 80% of their manual accounts receivable work. They often save about 3% on credit card processing fees. They get paid faster because collections run automatically. It's an awesome tool, guys. Getting started is easier than you think. Our onboarding team will help migrate all of your customer payment data for you without breaking any PCI DSS compliance. You don't have to build anything from scratch. You don't have to ask your clients to fill out some form and hope they give you their payment details so you get paid in a week. It all just migrates. So whether you are a customer here for the education, or maybe you're starting to think about what automated accounts receivable could look like in your business, I think that's where this next poll could be worth answering. So I'm going to pop that up. If you're curious about how other MSPs are automating accounts receivable without adding a bunch of headcount, let us show you. Go ahead and answer the poll on your screen right now. Kyle, sir, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to send us back live. Commercial time is over, guys.
So we got like 6 minutes. Do you mind if I finish Fort just as a high level so people at least
Give it to
walk
'em.
away, at least understanding
Yeah.
how this happened? All right. So let's go ahead and get the whiteboard back up. So we talked about it. So I'm going to give you guys the TLDR because we don't have much time. By the way, inside of Empath, there is a like 2 hour long course on this exact topic with structures and KPIs and all of that. So, and Steve, you may want to spotlight me on the Zoom stream so
A
the
good
whiteboard comes through.
idea.
No, I'm just trying to help where I can. Lots of buttons to push. So where this whole acronym FORT came from is finance. We talked about this. This is my get to paid department. This is the thing that is critical as a first step because at the end of the day, we got to make sure we're protecting the bottom line. Operations. Now, I use the word operations and not service very purposefully because in an MSP, the entire operations of how we do business is centered around people and the tools that enable those people. So to me, I used operations because it just meant more to me. I didn't want to just have my employees feel like a service department because they were involved in a lot of the design and the ways that we built our IP. And then revenue. This was sales, but from a different perspective. There's a life cycle to my customers. There's a, right, how we find them or how they're born in our pipeline all the way to death in the ability to manage and recognize sometimes we lose customers and let's be okay with that. And then last but not least, technology. Now, technology was something that was very interesting to me because when I was trying to figure out where EOS got this whole idea for their org chart and a lot of the model. I found an old article back in the 60s in Harvard Business Review that talked about the integrative business model. It's actually where Gino got the word integrator from. And in that article, they talked a lot about this department called R&D. And it wasn't
Not
ever
to be
mentioned
confused
in
with
EOS
R&D.
or yeah, right, exactly. This is research and design. And if you think about R&D in an MSP, we're kind of similar to software companies and a CTO role that's managing the engineering and the internal operations, but also the vendor management, because as MSPs, we don't really develop our own tools so much as we develop processes inside of other people's tools. So this is what eventually became what I call FORT. And this is what really rolled up because I wasn't a huge fan of visionary from a EOS perspective. That then went to that zookeeper because these were the roles that allowed the zookeeper to keep their hands out of product, to keep their hands off of the funnel, right? Don't fix what's not broken. If you have a managed service agreement that the sales team can easily sell, the service team can easily deliver, and you can easily have finance, who also has a lot of the HR and back office type responsibilities, can find people and train them up so that they can get into operations and deliver that product. Well, now we're cooking with real oil here. We're actually keeping things hot. So to kind of fill this out for everybody, right? This is going to be your HR, this is going to be your accounting, this is going to be legal, this is going to be kind of some of those admin functions. Operations, this is going to be your managed services, this is going to be your professional services, this is going to be your cybersecurity services. Every MSP also usually has some specialty. You know, some are telcos, some are ISPs, some do physical security. Revenue, this is going to be that marketing, this is going to be business development, and also some level of account management. I know we call these a lot of things. By the way, VCIO as a consulting practice is here. Revenue retention would be more of account management because there's the expansion function here. And then technology, this is going to be internal IT, so you don't rob your own product. This is going to be R&D. This is going to be vendor management. And this is going to be internal cyber or sysadmin type stuff. So that's really what Fort came to be. And I think we had, I was able to get that in on time. And Steve, you can come back on stage, but that was kind of the way that I approached this model. Is all of these have justifications to the growth of the organization, because now I can say if revenue needs to grow this much, well, technology needs to build a product that has enough demand. So they need to work with marketing to figure out what market demand looks like. And by the way, that sounds fancy. That could be as simple as call a bunch of entrepreneurs and say, is this the right price? Would you buy this for this? Would you like, it's not that difficult. Sales needs to be able to sell it, enough of it in order to hit those revenue targets. Account management's got to retain enough customers in order to hit that target. Operations has to deliver it all and make sure they don't deliver shoddy work so that people don't churn beyond what they should be churning. And then the finance team to kind of go towards your commercial, right? They have to be able to be efficient enough to find new people to fill all of these needs, but also collect the revenue in a timely fashion and the right ability to report on the data to the zookeeper to make some of these risky R&D decisions. And then to finalize all of that, we need to do it in a way to where we're not going to open up business risk, and make sure that we have the right legal protections and insurance and all of that to survive into tomorrow.
I like that. Well, we are at our time, guys. I would love to keep asking Kyle questions. I would love to tell you fun stories, but I can't. I'm sorry. But you come to our next webinar and we'll keep the fun going, all right?
Yes, we
will.
All
right. Well, hey, Kyle, I really appreciate you hopping on here with me. I really do. Antonia, Debbie, Scott, and everyone else who made it. Thank you so much. Yes, we raise our glass to you.
And being here the whole time.
And we'll catch you at the next webinar, everybody. Take care.
Everybody. Thanks for having me on, Steve.
Absolutely.